Welcome back to the Hoop Bar. This is Season 2, Episode 38. We have reached the 2020-2021 NBA Finals, and here to talk about that is our panel today. We have the Ganz and Rahul. Unfortunately, Tony is driving back from, I believe, Coachella. Game 6. Giannis was out, and Trae Young limped back into Game 6, but the Bucks were able to pull that one out and to reach the NBA Finals for the first time since 1971, when they were led there by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson. But before we get into Game 6 in the NBA Finals, it is currently, when we're recording, it is July 5th. We had our July 4th celebrations yesterday. Let's start off with the rule. We saw that magnificent, glorious fireworks display that you sent to us on our group chat. How was your weekend and how was your July 4th day?
Yeah, so it's Texas, so that's why you saw the firework display, because nobody cares. My brother-in-law's neighbors, which live in the same community, just go out big for 4th of July and New Year's as well when it comes to fireworks. I sent you guys some pictures of the store I was in. There was a box about 6 foot tall box of fireworks for $999 called the Godfather. So just a mixture of fireworks, the size about 6 feet taller than me. Just to buy $1,000. That's just one of the things. There was a lot of $300 packages and $200 packages. My brother-in-law and I, he ended up spending like close to $250 just on fireworks. So go big or go home in Texas. Yep, that was a good 4th of July. Good time with family. Didn't drink too much. Just relax and watch the fireworks.
The Gons. How was your 4th of July extravaganza over at the pool? I saw some of those pictures on Facebook.
We were up by Mount Baldy, and it's in technically the city of Upland, but there's some ballin', I guess, really nice houses out there, which we didn't even know existed. It was good, man. We kept it mellow. We ended up coming home by like 5 o'clock, and I think we just Netflix binged. I think we're at the point now where we've been out of town, right, for so long that just Netflix binging seems like really pleasurable rather than being out and about. So yeah, that was my 4th of July. How about yours?
I was with my family over at my sister and brother-in-law's house in Westminster. We exploded a bunch of fireworks, a bunch of kids running around. The neighbors next across the street had a bunch of fireworks too, so just watching some of those not so safe, insane fireworks being shot into the air, that was pretty fun. So yeah, pretty mellow 4th of July. Did some swimming over the weekend, so that was good. I'm just getting ready for these NBA Finals now. But before we get there, Game 6, that was crazy. I think I expected the Bucks to win that game, especially with Trae Young coming back, but I mean, Trae Young might have been more of a hindrance than a positive, honestly. He didn't shoot the ball very well. He was still hobbling. I still think he had to have him out there. But regardless, the Bucks are moving on. We saw a new Drew Holiday came out more aggressive. We saw a new Chris Middleton came out more aggressive. We saw a new, like we talked about last pod, the rejuvenated Brook Lopez, like he's in Brooklyn again. So before we get to the NBA Finals, let's start off with the Gons. What were your thoughts on Game 6? And I also have a question for you guys, both of you to answer. With the Bucks winning these last two games pretty convincingly without Giannis and Antetokounmpo, would it be beneficial for the Bucks, Game 1, just to get him a little bit more rest and not play him Game 1 of the NBA Finals? So let's start off with the Gons.
I don't think so in this case. I don't think it depends on the status of his injury, right? So if he's ready to come back, then bring him back. If there's some precaution to where he is not 100%, then maybe you wait because you're playing really, really well right now. But if he's ready to go, bring him back. He's a nightmare to guard. There's some people that have been able to do it successfully, but who on the Phoenix Suns is going to guard him? Maybe Ayton, right? But then if Brook Lopez goes off, now wouldn't Ayton guard Brook Lopez? So who's going to guard Giannis effectively? Like, I'm looking at the Phoenix Suns. It's not Booker. Crowder? Come on. I don't know. I mean, who stepped up? Not maybe Mikal Bridges or I don't know, Torrey Craig. I don't know. I really think you need to play him. It just depends on if he needs to sit out. But yeah, I think he's a matchup disaster for the Suns.
Rahul, what are your thoughts on Game 6 of the Bucks-Hawks series and the thoughts about potentially Giannis not playing, strategically not playing Game 1, giving them a little bit of an extra rest?
Well, yeah, Game 6, I think, we talked about this. We said, will Trae Young be effective and should he sit out? And I know you think he should have been there. And I know it's Monday quarterbacking and it's easy to say that now. I thought he could be a decoy and he could do a good job, but he wasn't. Chris Paul was way worse than him against the Lakers in terms of what he was able to do. Chris Paul couldn't even shoot the ball past 20 feet, but he was more effective than what Trae Young did out there. And I'm nothing against Trae Young. He brought this team here. I just think that when you put your team in a position where you say, I'm going to tough this out and I'm going to play, you make sure you have a game plan ready. Whether it's a decoy plan, and he got like 9 assists. So I know he must have had that thought process that, hey, I can help my team. But I got to say that, the team has a lot of depth and they could have played together better had they not been waiting for Trae Young to be Trae Young, and he couldn't be Trae Young. So I thought it was the opposite. I think it's a case by case. I think in this case, I know, again, I'm Monday quarterbacking here, but I do think that I feel like they should have thought about it a little bit more. I think that team would have put up a better fight. But I had the Bucks, and good for them. They're moving onto the series. I disagree with the Ganz. I think that he should rest. If ever not having home court to start the NBA Finals was an advantage, then this is it, where your superstar was questionable. Maybe he would play a Game 7, right? He would try to play the Game 7, but you weren't really for sure. You're still putting him out there knowing that he's still in the process of recovering. So from what I've seen, he's been like shooting around. He seems okay. But why you don't play him is because the Bucks have chemistry right now. Guys like Portis, who started those 2 games that Giannis has been out, he's done a really great job. And again, I'm not saying they're going to beat the Suns that way, but what I'm saying is that you're on the road. You're not at home. So if you can get one more game of rest, but let's say you play with house money, knowing that your team's got a lot of chemistry right now, the group of guys that have won back-to-back without Giannis, including guys like Portis and Lopez who stepped up, Portis and Lopez, Middleton and Holiday. Holiday was being super aggressive. I think you let them give it another go and upset the Phoenix Suns in Game 1 with all the nerves and all that stuff going on. And it's the first game. It's the easiest one to steal, and I think it's better to steal it when you've got chemistry going without Giannis, knowing that even if he comes back, is he 100%, right? So I would take this advantage of being on the road as a positive, sit him out 1 game, and then try to get that second game. And again, this playoffs, we've seen teams go down 0-2. I'm not saying you want to go down 0-2 in the finals, but you bring him back for Game 2. That's what I would play, unless, of course, if he's like 110% Giannis healthy, then yes, play him, like Gon said. But if
about 100%? Not
okay, 100. Okay, if he's 100%. If he's 100%, we won't know this, right? We don't know for sure. We're only going to be told what we're told, and
if the medical trap deems him 100%,
right, then play him. But if you still want to, if the medical team feels like, hey, he could use 1 more game, then this is a situation where I think they're doing really well without him. And
I agree.
There's no reason they can't steal this first game and still take a split back to Milwaukee, which would put all the pressure on the Suns. So I like that if they want to sit him out 1 more game.
Yeah, it's the NBA, and I would actually agree with you both. If he's not 100%, try to give him 1 more game just as more of a rest to try to get him back closer to 100%. However, if you're Adam Silver, first NBA Finals back, NBA Finals without a traditional superstar like LeBron James, Steph Curry, you kind of want Giannis out there. So if he's closer to 75, hey guys, let's get him out there. I think that's what the NBA is kind of going to want to nudge Milwaukee to do, so it's not Chris Paul, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday, NBA Finals next on ABC. Yeah, no. They're going to want Giannis in there. He's one of the 2 box office draws going into the finals. So let's get into the finals preview. The number 2 seeded in the Western Conference, Phoenix Suns, versus the number 3 seeded Milwaukee Bucks. The Phoenix Suns, their road to get to the NBA Finals. They defeated the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers in 6 games. to get then 6 games, and then they swept the Denver Nuggets with the MVP, and they just got by the Los Angeles Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, but with a surging Paul George to get to the finals. The Milwaukee Bucks swept they avenged their loss from last year's playoffs in a sweep of the Miami Heat, squeaked by a mere inches, maybe 2 inches away from losing to Brooklyn, and beat them in 7 games. Then defeated the Hawks with a hobbled Trae Young, but they also didn't have a Giannis for the last 2 games of games 5 and game 6. Game 1 is in Phoenix on Tuesday, which is tomorrow for our recording on Monday, July 5th. Tuesday, July 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So make sure if you're on the East Coast listening to us, it's going to be 9 o'clock over there. The series odds per DraftKings: the Suns are a minus 185. The Bucks are a plus 150 underdogs. So the Suns are favored by Vegas. Well, DraftKings if you want to allude that to Vegas. However, the game 1 odds are Phoenix minus 6. Giannis hasn't been officially cleared, so I think the odds have been determined based on if Giannis isn't playing. If you think Giannis is playing game 1 and you like the Bucks, take those plus 6 points right now. That's my advice to you guys. So I'll throw in a few stats that I looked up before we get to everything. So as far as the Milwaukee Bucks and Phoenix Suns as far as all-time matchup, the Suns are leading the Bucks 75-71. So it's fairly close as far as franchise versus franchise. So instead of going just a full who do you think is going to win, let's go by position-wise. So as far as guards goes, let's start off with Rahul. With guards, the Suns have Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Cameron Payne, while the guards of the Bucks are Holiday, Connaughton, and Portis. Unfortunately, DiVincenzo is still out with that. I believe it was with an injury. I think it was a knee injury. So let's start off with the role. Who do you think has the advantage in the guard lineups, the Suns or the Bucks?
That's tough. The CP3 and Booker are 2 guys that can offensively kill you in a lot of different ways. Especially CP3. He's crafty. He's not looking to just score. He's always looking to make a play. He does that navigation dribble or dribbling through the lane, trying to find somebody and keeps your bigs off guard and then pulls up on you, right? It's hard. Those two are tough to defend, CP3 and Booker, because they have mid-range, they have the 3-point shot as well. But then what they're missing a little bit, and I still don't believe. Somebody tell me Booker's 6'6". I don't believe it. I don't 6'5", whatever it is. I don't think he is. But Middleton and Drew Holiday are bigger. They're taller players than both of those guys. So this is a hell of a matchup on both ends. And what I'm looking for here is, are they going to make Booker play defense? Because what we didn't see, what Booker hasn't done this playoff series is had to really play defense. If you think about Kawhi being out, the Lakers don't really have anybody at the guard position that'll make them play defense. Kawhi was out against Denver. I mean, Jamal Murray was out, right? So here we are. Booker has to go up against Middleton or Drew Holiday, 2 guys that are constantly going to be looking to get theirs and get everybody involved. So I'm interested to see that. I got to give the edge to Phoenix just because of Chris Paul. Chris Paul is just so valuable mentally. He'll bring Booker along and take him to just like he's done all year long. So because CP3 is on that side, I got to give it to them. But this is a hell of a matchup at the guards.
The Ganz, who has the advantage, the Suns or the Bucks in terms of guard play?
Okay, so Drew Holiday is going to more than likely be on Chris Paul. Drew Holiday is 6'3", 6'4", Chris Paul is 6 foot. Drew Holiday played great defense, especially that last game. He is powerful. He is big. He hustles. He's going to be a defensive nightmare for Chris Paul, as tactful as Chris Paul is. How tactful can he be? Does he bait him into getting in foul trouble? That could change the game completely, because now he's out of the game offensively as well. So it's hard to say. If Chris Paul wasn't as tactful as he was, I'd say for sure Drew Holiday will lock him down. But Chris Paul is so nifty at getting people in foul trouble. It's like he's dribbling and he'll slow down if he sees you coming at it, and he'll get pushed. And you got to call the foul. So it depends on how smart Drew Holiday plays and how nifty Chris Paul plays. I know that's not the answer what you're looking for, but it could go. It's all on play. Now with Devin Booker, he's 6'5" with a 6'8" wingspan, right? and I think he is 6'5". I think that's fair. But if you have Chris Middleton on him, who's 6'7" with a 6'11" wingspan, that's going to be a lot more difficult, like Rahul said, for Devin Booker. Yes, we know he can jump up and shoot the ball, but
that's what I want to see. I want to see these guys get post up. I want to see guys like CP3 and Booker, both of them get bullied by the bigger size, because the other way it's going to be hard to keep up with them. And you're right. You want to try to stay out of foul trouble on the other side. But if you're the Bucks and if you're Bud, you cannot get so caught up with what Giannis is doing, but you have these two guys that need to make Chris Paul and Booker play defense and pay for their height. You have to do that if you want to win.
Exactly. So it's all tactful. If they play bully ball like they did against Atlanta that one game and destroyed them, I think they'll be very effective even with Giannis out.
And good thing is having played Trae Young at full strength for about 5 games, that's going to bring you up to speed because he's faster than anybody the Suns have, right?
Very true. Very, very true. This is going to be a great series. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I think Milwaukee should have the edge if Budenholzer can coach correctly and the players do what he says. If not,
so close. I know what you're saying, but I think everybody has the Suns with the edge, but it's tough.
So my apologies from my previous analysis. It is Bryn Forbes as the third guard for the Bucks and not Bobby Portis. We'll save that for the wings. I agree with the rule. I have the Suns having the edge in the guard play, especially off the bench with Cameron Payne. He's balling out. He's going to get a bag come the off season. So with not having DiVincenzo there, I think Ganz had mentioned that in the previous podcast when he went out. That's going to be a big factor, I think, in the guard play. DiVincenzo was really good. So one additional statistic I wanted to share about Chris Paul, since we're talking about the guards. This comes from Reddit by a user called Sharks Fan Abroad. Chris Paul's 123 postseason starts are the most all-time prior to an NBA Finals debut. So that's great for CP3. Now the narrative is going to be CP3 finally making it. So before we get to the
and quick one other thing there, Matt, what you guys both pointed out. Ganz pointed out his craftiness, and you know what that really means, right? Craftiness means doing whatever it takes to get the foul, to get other people in foul trouble, to get under people's skin, to create, all that stuff, right? It's craftiness, and it's more than that, right? And what you just said, what is it? 100 and how many games without actually going to the finals? With 16?
123 postseason starts before making his first NBA final start.
So that's
embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
But here he is. But here he is, right? I'm saying 16 years. Here he is, and do you think that Chris Paul is gonna just lay down, right? Chris Paul is gonna do whatever it takes because he's 4 games away from his dream. I sent you guys a video of this man talking from, I think, before the Clipper years, when he got Rookie of the Year, then he was on the Hornets and he made the playoffs and lost to Kobe and the Lakers. I remember that. He was on the Clippers, Lob City, he was on the Rockets, etc. All those video clips, they keep interviewing him and asking him the same stuff. Hey, what do you feel? You keep getting hurt. You don't get to the finals. He's like, I just got to keep working. I got to keep working. He knows we haven't lived his journey. He's lived his journey. And now here he is. I'm not a fan of his tactics, but what you said, Ganz, has to be true, is that this guy, if he feels like he's being outplayed by Holiday, if Holiday makes him punish him for his size, I'm not saying he's going to go out and just, deck the guy, but he's very crafty that way. And you just got to know that Chris Paul just does not want to lose this where he's 4 games away. That has to play a role into when we think about the Suns versus Bucks, that CP3 refuses to lose this series. I doubt it. I just feel like he's so close. He's not getting any closer. This is it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the narrative of the finals, right? It's like the Suns are the hero and everyone's rooting for Chris Paul to win his final chip. Like that is what it is. So let's see if it happens. But I think this is the first time where everyone's actually rooting for Chris Paul to win.
I don't know, man. Like you're right. I'm rooting for. It's just like what you guys said. Like Matt, you said this. You're like you watch him make a great play, and you're just so impressed because you're a basketball fan, and you're like, yeah, dude, that's amazing. Like, dude, you're like 6 foot, and you're able to get into the defense and do all sorts of things. You're so smart. But then he does something cheap that's not even necessary, and you just hate the guy right away. And it's just so frustrating to watch him play. And if he's on your team, you don't care, right? But so I to answer you, like, I don't know. I want him to win. I'd be happy for him. But if the Bucks won, I wouldn't be sad for him.
All right, let's move on. Before we get to our final predictions about the series, let's move on to the wings. For the Suns, we have Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and Cam Johnson. The wings for the Bucks, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, and Bobby Portis. Let's start off with the Ganz. Who has the edge in this matchup with the wings, the Bucks or the Suns?
I mean, if Giannis plays and it's the players that you named off, then it's the Bucks that have the advantage. But I don't see, like, PJ Tucker's a power forward, bro, and he's playing defense on point guards. Drew Holiday will pick up a big guy. Their defense is all over the place. So it's hard to make a comparison about guards and wings when everyone plays kind of all over. These players on the team could all shoot the three, and they're all very similar type players. And some are taller and some are shorter. So I think it's more of an overall analysis versus the wings and guards. But yeah, and the players that you named, I think the wings are better. But I also think some of the wings you've named are going to end up guarding some of the guards. So yeah, if we're going off your names alone, I say the wings in this case.
Rahul, who has the advantage in the wings department, the Bucks or the Suns?
Well, not knowing Giannis's full health, and also with Portis, like with Giannis and Portis, are they even on the floor at the same time too much? I don't know. I don't know how much of that really is the case where Brook Lopez is the 5 and if Giannis is the 4. I would have to give the advantage to the Suns, but not by much because you have Giannis on the other side. You said Bridges. Who else?
Bridges, Crowder, and Cam Johnson versus Giannis, Middleton. I'll even throw Tucker in there instead of Portis.
Well, if you're putting Middleton, I was putting Middleton at the guard, but you're right. He's 6'7".
That's what I was doing. That's what I was saying.
So there are a lot of positionless players, I guess, to Gonz's point. Like even PJ Tucker does play different positions. So, but yeah, then you're right. If you're stacking them that way, then obviously with Middleton and Giannis, like that's the advantage. But I just don't know Giannis's health. And if you're taking Middleton out of that mix, then that's where I would say what Chris Paul is able to do for those wings is more than what Drew Holiday might be able to do for the wings if Giannis is out. But I'm gonna obviously go with the Bucks if you're talking about Middleton and Giannis.
Yeah, I had a big advantage when it came to the wings. Middleton, like you said, was 6'7", 6'8". Yes, he'll guard some guards, but he's primarily a forward.
He's going to guard Booker. I think he's going to guard Booker. I think he's going to spend most of his. That's what I. So
100.
So guarding Booker. He's guarding Booker, and Holiday's guarding CP3. If these guys can stay out of foul trouble, then they have the advantage. But if they can't stay out of foul trouble, then it's going to be a problem.
So you're saying Connaughton or Forbes is guarding the like the 3-and-D wing, 3-and-D wing on the outside, like either Bridges, Crowder, or Johnson.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
both of you agree on that.
I'm not saying it's a full-time job for Middleton and
for the
Holiday.
But I think
for the most part, they're going to say, "Hey, we got these guys." You know,
they're not going to put Connaughton on Booker. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I really think it's going to come down to Booker having Booker. We haven't seen Booker play defense and not get frustrated. I want to see him guard somebody.
They're gonna hide Booker.
Yeah, well, but they can't hide him this series as much as other series.
Why not?
I think because
between Holiday and Middleton. And then you have Giannis. Let's say you don't have Giannis. Then we'll advance on to Lopez, whoever that fifth person is going to be. Connaughton, Forbes. You could easily hide Booker on one of those that fifth guy, right? Am I
and that'll be on the Bucks, right? If you have two players, Holiday and Middleton, like okay, look back to the teams they've played. Can you give me 2 guards that they've played that are really good in their journey here this year?
They've been very lucky in not having to play any guards at all during this journey for sure.
Right. So if Coach Bud plays this right and exploits that, and if he's hiding Booker, then you find ways for those 2 guys to get into the mix. It's a problem for them. It'll be a problem for the Suns, and I think the size will give them problems too. If Booker is if Middleton can spend most of his time on Booker, he's going to give him a lot of problems in terms of a mid-range shot as well. So I think I'm looking forward to Middleton taking that challenge and spending most of his time on him. I'm looking forward to Drew Holiday doing the same against CP3, but it'll all come down to if they can stay out of foul trouble if they're doing that.
Like, Ganz, do you agree that you're going to see a lot of Middleton? Like, I think you mentioned it, but you're going to see a lot of Booker and Middleton minutes. I just want to confirm.
Who's going to guard Booker? Who would you have guard Booker? I mean, I see Drew Holiday maybe matching up with Booker sometimes. I see Drew Holiday matching up with Chris Paul. I could see Middleton stepping in too. He's long and helping out there. I do think it's a possibility. Is it going to happen every time? No, but I think the Bucks should make a conscious effort to lock those two guys down strategically if he plays it right.
Yeah, and Connaughton is 6'5", so he can share.
He's not bad. He's not. Yeah, he's not a bad defender.
He can share the assignment on Booker for sure, but I just think that Middleton's going to do a better job. And then you can, like you said, put Connaughton on Bridges in the wings.
It's for me. I think you need to save Middleton for his offense, like I kind of do with Dame. You have to hide him on defense in order to provide that offensive push that they're gonna need. They can't get shot creation through a lot of the times through Holiday. They can't get a lot of shot creations a lot of the times through Giannis. So I think we'll talk about the coaching thing. I kind of want to get into a little bit later on. So let's move on to the centers. Ayton and Saric versus Lopez. I even threw Tucker in there too, and of course we'll see Giannis at center. So throwing Giannis in center at there, who do you think? Let's start off with the Ganz. Who has the edge, the Suns or the Bucks in terms of the center position?
Well, the way Lopez has been playing, I would give it to the Bucks here again. And if Giannis plays, obviously Ayton's still young, he's fresh. Ayton's not bad. He could make big plays, but I'd give the edge to the Bucks here with those matchups.
Rahul, who do you favor here?
Yeah, when it comes to size, I have to give to the Bucks, especially because Lopez can shoot as well. So he's going to make Ayton come out a little bit more, which will be interesting to see how they defend that when both Ayton and Lopez and Giannis, if they're on the floor, and then if Giannis is a 5, even then Giannis likes to get the ball at the top, even though he's not going to shoot it. So I'm curious to see how Ayton does having to come out more, which I think he will this series a lot. So I'll give the edge to the Bucks just because of their size and how versatile Lopez is and how versatile Giannis is. Obviously Giannis is not a shooter like Lopez, but I'd give the edge to the Bucks.
Ayton proved a lot to me these playoffs. Yes, he's a roll and cut big, and he has some moves in the post. He's still young. Lopez is a little bit older. He shoots threes. I agree with you guys. He's more versatile. However, I've been very impressed with DeAndre Ayton. I'm actually going to favor this as far as center goes, like full on center. Giannis, when he plays centers, of course, like I would all agree with you guys. The Bucks are the better team, but with just pure center, I like DeAndre Ayton. That guy is really, really good. In my eyes, I favor the center position there. So let's move on to the coaching. Monty Williams, if they had just played the season out for the NBA awards, he would have been slam dunk coach of the year, and they wouldn't have given it to Tibbs because Tibbs flamed out in the first round of the playoffs versus Mike Budenholzer, who, if he had lost that game 7 against the Nets, he most likely would have been fired, and you would have seen Carlisle. He would be coaching the Bucks right now, but because of an inch, Budenholzer, Coach Bud's still there, and he's in the NBA Finals. So who has the coaching advantage here? Let's start off with the role between Monty Williams and Coach Bud.
I mean, Monty Williams. I don't think we all agree with this one, right? I don't know how. I'm not a coaching genius. I definitely, I know I'm not saying that, but I think we can all see some of the things that Bud doesn't do when it comes to Giannis. And here we are in his 3rd year, and like you said, he's 2 inches away from not even being a coach anymore. That's a good question. Is he the coach if they lose in the finals? Because I don't even know if he's the coach if they win in the finals.
All right, Ganz, who has the coaching edge, Monty Williams or Mike Budenholzer?
This is the biggest mismatch of the series out of all the mismatches that you named. This is why, although I said Milwaukee Bucks for 2 out of the 3 categories that you named off, I still think the Phoenix Suns will win. Buttonhoser's been a joke. He's almost botched multiple series and multiple games by not making the right play, not drawing up a play, not taking the right time out. Monty Williams has his team all in. Clearly, Monty Williams has the edge to the point to where I think even though the Bucks maybe are more talented with Giannis, former MVP, that the Phoenix Suns will still win the series.
So that's why it was shocking to me when we were talking about the wings and the guard play. Oh, the Bucks will have something for them, like strategic wise. I'm like, we're talking about Coach Bud. What did he do the last 3 series? Like we just talked about how bad he was. Yet, like, oh, they're gonna come up with some strategy to beat the Suns. While we're talking about, I'm like, I was confused while you guys were talking. So I don't know.
Look at last game. Look at last game. Budenholzer actually coached very well, very, very well, and made adjustments. So it's not like he can't coach well. It's just he has these lapses where he's horrible. So I think that's why there's a little bit of we know he can coach well, but we also know that he can't. I don't know if that makes sense.
Rahul, do you want to chime in on that one?
Well, I think what he's saying is that in certain situation, he's not battle tested and he hasn't proven himself. Whereas overall, I feel like what he's doing right now with going smaller without Giannis, and how Portis has stepped up, and you could say that it's aggressiveness from Holiday and Middleton than it is also what the coach is doing. I mean, I'll give him credit for sure, but if we're talking about who's going to make in-game adjustments, if we're talking about what team believes in their coach more, and we're talking about having an extension of the coach on the floor, then we're talking about the Phoenix Suns and not the Bucks.
I completely agree. I agree with the Gons. This is a major mismatch. Monty Williams versus Coach Bud. Monty Williams all the way. My coach of the year if I had a ballot. So as our last call for today's podcast, let's get the full, since we talked about the wings, we talked about the guards, we talked about the coaching, and the centers as well. The last call will be, who do you guys have for this series, this NBA Finals? Who will be raising up the Larry O'Brien Trophy at the end of this final series? Let's start off with the rule.
Well, it's tough. So both games in the regular season, the point difference was 2 points. The Suns won both games by 1 point each. So this is a really good series. Regardless of there is definitely a coaching mismatch. There's a lot of questions when it comes to Giannis's health. All the things that we laid out. I'm still going to go with the Phoenix Suns in 7 games, and here's why. 1, they have the home court. 2, you don't know Giannis's health. 3, they have the better coach. 4, they have Chris Paul. And 5, I think they have a better bench. We didn't talk about the bench, but I think that with Campaign and Bridges and I feel like the Suns are better equipped. It's going to be a really great series. The Bucks can completely surprise us because they have the tools. I'm really, if the Suns, if CP3 doesn't win this and PJ Tucker does, and I'm happy for PJ Tucker because that's another guy that I really want to see get a ring.
Gons, who do you have in the series, and how many games? The Bucks or the Suns?
So I think I think we failed to mention a part of the game that even with the reviews, because you only have so many and you could only review the last 2 minutes of the game, the refs have a lot of influence what happens in this series. The refs are influenced by the NBA. Here goes my conspirator talk, right? So I think this is going to go at least 6 or 7. The NBA needs it to go 6 or 7. The NBA is a business at the end of the day. So as long as the games are close, it's going to be pretty well balanced. So at the end of the day, I say the Suns are going to win this in 6. But we're going to have some very, very competitive games, and we're going to have some very, very, very questionable calls. And you can take that to the bank.
Let's make it a clean sweep. I have the Suns in 6. I know Rahul said 7, but I also have the Suns. I am the anti-Charles Barkley, or I'm picking the Suns, but I'm actually rooting for the Bucks. The Suns are playing consistently well, minus that game 4 that we saw in Tahoe. It was horrible. And that game 5 against the Clippers that they blew at home. They've been playing fairly consistent basketball before throughout the playoffs. So I am picking the Suns in 6, but rooting for the Bucks. So we have our official Hoop Bar picks going into this final series. Before we go, the Suns are favored by 6. I'm going to say Giannis plays this game. There's no way he misses game 1. The Ganz, who do you have game? Well, let's see. The Suns are -6. Are you going to lay the points, or are you taking the 6 with the Bucks?
I am in your situation. I am also rooting for the Bucks. As much as I kind of want Chris Paul, but I think the bad side of him, like Rahul mentioned, makes me not want Chris Paul. And now I'm rooting for Giannis because I feel bad for the guy that can't really develop his game, but he tries really hard. And I think more than anything, I'm rooting for Jrue Holiday, just because he plays really hard at the end of the day. So I am taking, you know what? I'm going to say Bucks win. This is going to be one of the games they win.
No, I 100% agree with you. Like, if you look at the roster of the Bucks, Giannis and Jrue Holiday, PJ Tucker, and Chris Middleton are guys I want to root for. CP3, okay, Booker, I don't care. Payne, Crowder, I don't really want to root for those guys half the time. CP3 only because of how long he's been in the league, but not because he's just a great stand-up dude, right? So I am going for the Bucks. I just think the Suns will win in 7, but I am rooting for the Bucks. And I agree with the Gons. I actually think Giannis does not play game 1, and I think the Bucks win game 1.
They're at a plus 190. So if you're like betting, plus 190 for the Bucks. I think the Suns will win this game, but that's just me. But our panel here with the Rahul and the Gons take the Bucks. Plus 190 if you want to lay the money line. So I have one more statistic before we leave today. From the NBA Memes Twitter account. I think maybe ESPN Stats and Info also posted this as well. This is the first NBA Finals where the 2 leading scorers have only played for one team since the 2010 Finals. So you have Giannis leading the scoring for the Bucks, and you have Devin Booker leading the scoring for the Suns. They've only played for those teams. And in the 2010 Finals, we saw Paul Pierce, FTC, the Celtics, and one Kobe Bryant for the Los Angeles Lakers. So good for loyalty, good to stay on one team. So before we go, the Gons, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, this is the bar mitzvah for Giannis and Devin Booker. Giannis playing in his first finals, Devin Booker trying to prove that he is the superstar, which we've seen he can be. This is the time. This is a series where people who don't watch basketball will watch basketball. Just like I watched the Stanley Cup Finals because it's the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, you watch the finals. So you're going to get a ton of people watching you. And this is it, guys. Prove your point. So I'm excited about it. But I think we're either going to see boys become men here. So it's going to be very interesting.
Yep, I think it's great for the NBA that these two are both small market teams, because when you get a small market team in the finals and it doesn't happen too much, you don't just get the city watching. And if the Lakers are in it, you don't get Northern California dedicated to watch. I mean, they'll watch it, but they're Warrior fans. And in this case, all of Arizona, not even if you're not a basketball fan, you're going to tune in. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right? Everybody's going to tune in. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this does for the NBA post the finals. I'm excited for the actual series because I think it will be a really great series. It's going to be one of the all-time great finals. I think that it's going to be one of those things where people don't have a lot of expectations because there's no big team in there. There's no Nets. There's no Lakers. But it's going to end up being really great because of that.
That'll be it for us today. We hope you enjoy watching the NBA Finals on ABC tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. We'll be back tomorrow to give our Game 1 thoughts. The Hoop Bar is closed.